has been replaced with our money repaid. No, there's no reason to be anxious. Got to stand up and rise again now. All over the world, people are changing, changing. My God, for the better. All over the world, people are changing, changing.
Good afternoon, Daryl. Good afternoon, everybody out there. How are you today? Well, I'll tell you, folks, we have a lot of stuff going on in the Minnesota State Legislature this week. It's conference committee week. We have bills going through committees left and right. Daryl, what do you think about that?
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. Thanks for staying up on top of it. We actually got a few bills going on. We definitely are following HF 600 as it moves through its process. But more importantly, today we were talking about HF or Health and Human Services under this
The HF 2128 bill, the omnibus bill in Health and Human Services.
So let's unpack that a little bit. What sections should we be looking at in that bill and be protecting?
Well, Daryl, in House HF 2128, we really have a lot to unpack there. The Senate, of course, did not have any language out there for the modifications to the medical program. Okay, and those modifications include the vehicle delivery. They include the curbside pickup. They include the modifying the requirements of a registered designated caretaker. Okay, that's all HF 1413. Also, HF 813 is engrossed into the 2128 bill that's in conference, and that's the modifications to the cannabis program, the medical cannabis program, allowing people age 21 or older to combust medical cannabis in a dried raw cannabis form. So, you know, that there, folks, is adding flower to the medical program. And then there was new. Go ahead, Daryl.
No, and adding flower to the cannabis program would be a game changer.
Absolutely.
For most folks, they are on the cannabis program. So
absolutely. And then there was HF 907 also engrossed in, and that's modifications to the medical cannabis program, allowing patients whose program enrollments were revoked for certain violations to actually be able to reapply for enrollment after 12 months. As you might be aware, Daryl, the penalty for some of the things was actually a lifetime ban. And so that was just totally, wrong for people that are just trying to medicate,
Yeah, and absolutely, that was such a ridiculous qualification, a ridiculous stopgard, rather, for what people claim that was happening. And when the department was asked to clarify how many people have they ever banned from the program and for what reasons, they've actually said they never banned anybody from the program and they've never revoked anybody's use of using the program for any reason since its existence in 5 years.
Absolutely. So there's two other important parts that are in HF 2128 that's in conference committee. Okay, and the first one is engrossing HF 1023 and HF 675, and that's the rescheduling of marijuana and non-synthetic THC from Schedule 1 to Schedule 2 in the State Controlled Substances Schedule. Okay, so that's also very important, Daryl.
That is, and you want, and I'm not going to explain to you why it's that important, but I will give you a little caveat to that. If that actually passes, that will be the first time a state legislature in the nation's history has asked the government to actually reschedule cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 2. So we are breaking ground if that does occur. And all it means, it doesn't mean they're going to grant it to us. It means that we're officially asking the feds to grant us permission to classify our medical access program under Schedule 2 and not Schedule 1.
Yes, that is very good to note, Daryl. Very good. And the last section that is of real importance, that's actually new language that's been added, and that's instructing the Commissioner of Health for evaluation and recognition of the tribal medical cannabis programs that meet or exceed standards of the state medical cannabis programs. Okay, the tribes are trying to go ahead and do what's right by their sovereign nations and their communities, and they're trying to go ahead and work within the state law, and so this is important to go ahead and make sure that like they are also like running parallel with everything going on.
Absolutely, and to make sure they're in full compliance with our program versus their beliefs and their program as well. And the interesting note about that as well, they were awarded $2 million to create their medical marijuana program. I don't know which tribe that was. I forget what the name of it was, but they will soon. They'll probably have flower in their program before we will. Let's hope our bill passes and then we can do a joint thing maybe. No pun intended.
No puns intended, folks. So okay, both you and I know, Daryl, that this bill, the HF 2128, is a large bill. This is the Health and Human Services Omnibus Bill, and right now they are going through it. Really, they are just going through a summary of the differences between the House and the Senate side and the conference committee, section by section. They already went through this section. Nothing got pulled out that we're speaking of right now. Okay, but they haven't gotten down to actually agreeing to changes or accepting the language on one side or the other.
Right, and the reason they haven't done that is two things. Because they like to go through the bill. They like to get people tired of looking at that line item by line item for hundreds of pages, okay? But the other thing is the Senate hasn't came back with their targets yet. And because of that reason, that's why they don't want to agree to anything and do some real work. I do hear Abler saying that he wanted to put some things on the table and get some agreements today, but that was also 10 minutes before the committee was to adjourn. So, I mean, I understand politics is politics. But yeah, so the important message is today, things are still moving. People are busy up there. People get crabby or doing conference committee. So remember to thank your legislators. If they're doing something right for you and they're supporting your language, your issue, make sure you call them up and tell them thank you. And if they're not, tell them they're not doing a good job either.
Well, Daryl, you're absolutely right. And folks, right now, again, this is in conference committee. House File 2128 contains all of the modifications for the medical cannabis program for this year. Also the rescheduling of THC, as we just talked about. Also adding the medical cannabis structure for the tribes in the state. So the people, the legislators that are on the committee Okay, on the House side, it's Liebling, Schultz, Gomez, Pinto, and Schumacher. And on the Senate side, it's Benson, Abler, Utke, Curran, and Hoffman. Now, those are the senators and the House members that you want to contact to let them know that you support these modifications to medical cannabis program. They probably won't get back to Section 3 or Article 3 until sometime after tomorrow, maybe not even until after the weekend. Their committee schedules, the conference committee schedules, and the agendas for their day-to-day meetings are actually, how did you say it, Daryl? At the will of the chair or the call of the chair?
They're at the will of the chair, the call of the chair. So what happens? Like Abler wanted to know if everybody wanted to work this weekend, and Benson said, "Well, I do plan to work as much as everybody allows me to." But she says we will not be working on Sunday, possibly Saturday if we have something to talk about.
And I will try to keep eye out for any scheduling. We do have they are scheduled to be hearing tomorrow, Daryl. The agenda and the time, I believe, is actually still in fluctuation. There's a lot going on at the Capitol with the conference committees and people, the different representatives, senators, have to go ahead and, like, there's right now, the House floor session. I think the Senate's meeting live again this afternoon. They're really this is when the politicians are really, really, really hard at work because they're hammering out the minuscule details. And, as politicians do, Daryl, this is where those backroom deals are getting made and those handshakes, pats on the back are happening.
Right. Well, luckily during COVID, they're not happening as much. So I mean, those back, or if they are, they're kind of a little strange because they have to provide those social distancing and do those elbow bumps. But
the good old elbow bumps. So again, House File 2128, the modifications to the medical marijuana program, the conferees, the appointed people on the House side, Liebling, Schultz, Gomez, Pinto, Schumacher. And on the Senate side, it's Benson, Abler, Utke, Curran, and Hoffman. And we just had Senator Abler on our show just a week ago. If he wasn't so busy today, I was going to reach out to him or have asked you if you were going to reach out to him. But I was watching today. He was very busy.
Yeah, well, he was very into this stuff. He mostly spoke about programs to the infant and to folks. He talked about some other dollars to treatment programs and treatment facilities. We talked about the adult foster care system, which I expected him to do so because he's been heavily involved in that. So I really wanted to watch his posture and watch how, if he was being real conservative this time or if he was being more friendly, more flexible with his money. And what I seen is he seemed to be a little bit more relaxed this time. So I want to know if that's going to carry over to next year. And so, I mean, I do like the whole point of cleaning up in other neighborhoods, and I think that's something to explore. And we can use Abler as a test run. I think it would be fun.
Well, we have a lot to work on in the cannabis community as far as legalization goes, even continuing to improve on our medical program. Folks, again, please contact your legislators. Tell them how you feel about these medical cannabis program changes. We should move on to Senate File 970, Daryl, which is also in conference committee this week. And the Article 11, Section 1, okay, folks, this is where if you're on probation, if you're under the supervision of the Commissioner of Corrections, this is where they're trying to modify it so that you can also participate in the medical cannabis program. This is important, folks. You shouldn't be denied the use of your medication just because you jaywalked, forgot to pay a fine, whatever it is. Okay, if you get put on probation, you shouldn't be denied your medication. What do you think about that, Daryl?
That's absolutely right. I was put on probation for 3 years for a crime that I may or may not have committed. You know, and my thing is, I was never denied the use of my medicine. The reason why I was denied the use of my medicine is because I told them, I said, hey, I'm not digging in your pocket and wondering how many oxys you got or how many prescription pills you got in your pocket, but you're certainly digging in my pocket because you think I use a little bit of green as medicine, you know, and I don't think that's fair. And what eventually happened was that led me to do the work that you and I do today, and it's been 32 years already, Ed. So it's close. And what did you say last week? You smell it in the air, right?
You can smell it in the air, Daryl.
It's coming.
That's right. That's right. Don't deny it. It's coming. Okay, so Daryl, Senate File 970, which was, engrossed House File 1030, okay? The part that's important is of course, the Public Safety Article 11, Corrections Community Supervision article, okay? That's in conference committee, and I just, again, if you want to go ahead and let your legislators know that you support these changes, I mean, come on, folks, we're talking about cannabis here. Let them know. On the House side, the conferees for SF 970 are Mariani, Becker-Finn, Moeller, Frazier, and Miller. On the Senate side, we have Warren Limmer, Matthews, Johnson, Ingebrigtsen, and Latz. Okay? Please, folks, give them a call. Tell them you support these changes to the cannabis program, allowing people on supervision to be on the medical program. Give them a call. There's nothing wrong with sharing your compassion with your state legislators that happen to be in control in the fate of these bills.
Absolutely. And just for a point of clarification, does that 970 include the medical necessity defense too, or is that the 813?
Daryl, I have to apologize. I am not sure where the medical defense side went, where that bill went. I believe that would be in this bill someplace. I'll have to do some research on that. Sorry.
No problem. I just wanted to know, and we'll just mark that. We'll both look that up. So.
How come you didn't find out before we went on air?
Because I just didn't think about it.
Oh man, you know why? Because we're busy and we're getting lots done, folks. Yesterday I was watching three different hearings at the same time yesterday, 2 different hearings today, and still doing the research and trying to find the agendas, reading the amendments that were being offered, trying to read the changes that they're offering up before they even get a vote. Sometimes not even finishing because that's how fast they're moving.
Well, especially if you watch they'll offer oral amendments. They don't get to do as much during COVID, but they offer amendments that are not even written yet. And they're like, "Oh, we're writing that as we talk."
Yeah. Well, even today, they wanted to vote on one of the amendments, and one of the legislators, I don't remember her name off the top of my head now, but she was like, I'm still just reading it. Give me a moment.
Yeah. But I liked Tina when she said that to her, though, because Tina was like, come on. You're the one that's supposed to be talking about this. You should have read it before it.
Yeah, but again, like you said, sometimes they're offering oral amendments because they haven't even got them off the printing press yet. Because getting the words on paper, is sometimes just it's last minute thing. That's why a lot of times we'll see amendments that are simply technical in matter, where they're changing a letter or putting in an apostrophe or a comma.
That's where I often because I often said things without my grammar and without my punctuation, but I often get myself in trouble because like Nikki's the commas and the periods and everything, the dash they matter, and like okay, so I'm learning very quickly that grammar and all that stuff was actually something real that we were taught in school.
You were taught it in school.
Yeah, but then we didn't have to use it, because you became a professional pothead.
Absolutely, Daryl. Well, I'm going to try to share my screen here, Daryl. I just want people to see this. This is the just one of the files, and this is like a summary of the side by side of the modifications. This is in the House file 2128 between the Senate file. And let me just pull this up. I want to see if you guys can see this. Okay. Can you see that, Daryl? I don't know if you can see that or not.
I can see it now. Yeah.
Okay. So on the left-hand side here, where it talks, where it's got these numbers like the rescheduling marijuana here, those are sections 67 through 73 in section 101. That's all of the sections / paragraphs that this little sentence right here modifies.
Yep.
74 through 90 for this paragraph here. I mean, and then you see that there's nothing. This second column here, that second column is the Senate language. You see that there's nothing been modified in the second language, and that's why it's very important that we contact our legislatures, and especially on the Senate side, and say, hey, please accept these House sections, that pertain to the modifications. So, truly, Daryl, these are important times. And I know people want to talk about HF 600 and a legalization bill, and it's going to be in a hearing tomorrow too. Okay, folks, the medical provisions are very important and have a great big chance of passing. The legalization effort this year, unless we can get a miracle from Warren Limmer and Paul Gazelka, HF 600, Senate File 757, is going to stop at the end of the session this year and go nowhere in the Senate. Is that your feeling, Daryl?
That would probably be my feeling, but stranger things have happened where we're 10 days out, or how many days out? We're
I totally agree, Daryl, and that's why I have been broadcasting out there tomorrow's hearing on HF 600, House File 600. Ryan Winkler's taken in front of the Ways and Means Committee tomorrow afternoon. Now, that committee hearing is at 4:30 tomorrow.
4:30 tomorrow? Why didn't you make it for 4:20? Come on, man.
Well, I think he's busy at 4:20.
Yeah, you gotta get prepared for his 4:30 hearing.
That's absolutely correct. And I think there's a late House session tomorrow afternoon as well, Daryl.
The House generally goes in at 3 o'clock. So we'll be happy if the hearing actually starts at 4:30.
So, I mean, Daryl, my plan is to hang tight on the Ways and Committees meeting hearing tomorrow. And I mean, so far, we've gotten, like no resistance really from anybody on the Democrat side. There's been resistance on the Republican side, and that's unfortunate. I wish instead of all the resistance that this far into the session, they would have offered up like acceptable language to modify it. Okay.
Well, in that regard, then you would know that they're at least thinking about it. The fact that they don't offer up any language is also, another thing too. They could just accept it and then tell their constituents that they didn't vote for it, so that it was just the conference committee,
You don't think that's important? I know you think that's important, my friend.
I do it. Anything that you think's important, I think's important as well. Just maybe not at the same time sometimes.
Well, sometimes things are more important to one person than another. It doesn't mean that they're not important. The priorities change. Let's just take HF 2128. Daryl,
Right.
I know, because I know you, that there's another part in this bill that pertains to you.
Not just to me, but there's lots of parts in that bill that pertain to people that I serve. One particular part that you're referring to, go on.
Well, I was really just going to talk about the pilot project program. Is thank goodness it's still alive. Okay, and again, we talked to Mr. Senator Abler last week, and he knows it's there. Okay, you've talked to the other people on this committee. They know it's there. It's got a good chance. Okay, I think that change, again, you being such a great activist for your community, you have made sure that like your voice has been heard on this, and that's important, Daryl. That's important. See, that's where again we'll come back to Senator Abler. He told us. He says, hey, don't beat me up if I can only agree with you on one or two of your three or four different things. And that's absolutely correct. We have to thank these senators and these House of Representatives, all of our legislators, whether they have come full circle on it, they've met us part way, or even for their their disagreement with us. We have to at least thank them for listening to us.
Absolutely, and those words were very kind. The work that Abler and I have done together have been, it's been ups and downs. Okay, Abler has agreed with some of my issues, and then many times he disagrees with them. But the thing that I noticed about Abler over the last couple of years is he's becoming a little bit more compromisable, meaning that he can be flexible, he can understand the benefits that help progressive people, and understand that takes a little bit out of his conservative thought process, but he understands that overall he's winning because he's actually convincing some liberal people that maybe Abler is not as goofy as he appears to be, in some fronts. So he's actually doing the groundwork for a bigger thing. I think you'll see Abler that he won't go away and stay politics for forever. So I mean, we're gonna have to work with him until he decides to do something else.
Well, whoever's in office, we're going to have to work with them. We don't want to work against them. We want to work with them. We want to get pot legalized in the state of Minnesota. We want to continue working.
And we want to do it with any Republicans that want to do it with us. I mean, that's the thing. Republicans do smoke pot. They drink beer. They do all the sins that the Democrats do. They just do it a little differently because they have a little bit more money and they can hide it a little bit differently, but they can manipulate it a little differently. It doesn't mean that they don't smoke pot.
Well, it doesn't mean that they do smoke pot, but they don't have to go ahead and perpetuate, reefer madness.
Absolutely.
And that's where us continuing our public, conversations about it and are continuing to listen to people that might not be involved in politics, might not want to be involved in politics. Okay. They're still constituents of these politicians, and a lot of them still vote. They just don't want to be involved in the politics about it. Okay. So I try to go ahead and have an open ear. I live out here in farm country, so believe me, I don't have a whole lot of people that are represented by Democrats out here. We lost Colin Peterson, and Tim Miller is the rep out here. So we don't have a friendly voice out here. Let you know something. A lot of my friends out here, well, you know what I mean, Daryl. They smoke the ganja.
Yeah.
They do. They're Republican, and they smoke pot, folks.
Yeah, it's not a big secret anymore. People that have, we used to think people that buy land that move out in the country, they're moving away to hide from something. They're not doing that. They're moving out in the country because they need spots for their indoor grows and their indoor operations.
They don't want to be criminals any more than you or I want to be a criminal. They don't want to have to deal with law enforcement any more than you and I do, Daryl.
Absolutely.
I want to grow my tomatoes. I want to grow my green peppers. I want my asparagus and my apples to grow. I also would like to go ahead and have no problem if I had 1 or 2 or 6 or whatever, 25 nice cannabis plants out there. Whether it's hemp for some hemp oil or some THC-laden spiritual sacrament or some THC in recreational, whatever it is, I should be able, if I can grow it in my garden, I should be able to go ahead and do that. Okay?
Absolutely, and you should be able to do that. There is a law about where the gardens of the product of the farmer's garden or whatever. What's that big saying that Oliver used to?
Chris Wright.
Yeah.
Chris Wright in our state constitution, it says the products of the home garden, should be able to be peddled without license or fear of government intervention or whatever it is. Absolutely.
Well, thank you, and it's been a pleasure today. I know we could probably figure out a couple more things to talk about, but yeah, it's been really. I mean, this session for me has been kind of interesting because I'm used to being up at the Capitol and being next to the politicians because that's when they can't say no to me. Okay. They can easily hang up on me and push the button and say, "Oh, lost the connection," right?
Oh,
but when you're sitting at the Capitol with them for 4 hours, 5 hours a day, and you're going from room to room with them, they eventually have to give you what you want. So
yeah, you get stuck in the elevator. You get stuck going to the men's room at the same time. You get stuck in line.
I do that on purpose sometimes. You should have seen during the construction time. Often people would come because I would sneak out to the porta pots in front of the Capitol there because all the bathrooms bathrooms were down in the Capitol were closed, right, because the renovation, right. So they stuck out some porta pots, and I couldn't get in the porta pot because there are no accessible ones, right. So I'm on the side of the porta pot, and Hoffman comes out there, and he's all, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm pissed. I got a cup between my lap, and I'm pissed right now." And he's like, "Oh, I smelled a bunch of marijuana. I thought you were just smoking marijuana." And I got my dick out, and I got my pipe in my other hand. And so I handed him my pipe, and he's like, "Aren't you gonna put your dick away first?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, sorry about that." But yeah, so
Well, talking about dicks, Daryl, since we're talking about dicks, people, let me go ahead and tell you. There's major stoppage on the Republican side in the Senate. Please get a hold of Paul Gazelka. That's 651-296-4875. Please get a hold of Senator Paul Gazelka and tell him that you support Senate File 757. That's the Adult Legal Cannabis Use Bill. That's HF 600 on the House side. Ryan Winkler being the Ways and Means Committee, 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. That schedule is due to change. Please keep an eye on our Wake and Bake page on Facebook. I'll try to go ahead and let you know of any legislative committee hearings coming up on any of the bills that concern our cannabis, marijuana stuff. Daryl, go ahead.
Absolutely. We didn't mean to call Paul Gazelka a dick.
No, I was just talking about the head of things.
Oh, okay.
You know, I really, he's the head of the Senate. And I was just trying to go ahead and make sure that we told folks that that's where the stoppage is right there in Paul Gazelka's office. He supposedly, according to Ramp, Ramp, they made the statement that the Republicans are prevented from actually voting their will on this because this Republican Paul Gazelka is not allowing them to bring the bill forward. That's what I understood them to say.
He's kind of holding his caucus hostage.
It sounds something like that, Daryl. So, anyways, again, folks, HF 600 is going to be in the Ways and Means Committee tomorrow. Please, Ryan Winkler has worked really hard on this. They've made many changes to the bill. I'm going to say, that because it's really a very, very comprehensive bill, you should take and get yourself your e-reader. You should download the PDF or however you can to your e-reader, and you should go through the bill. Don't worry about the amendments as they're coming out. Just grab a copy of whatever you can of HF 600. Read through it. If you actually see things that need changing or that you think aren't right, please write it down and bring it up. You can call his office. You can send a message to us on the Wake and Bake page. You can send a message right to Daryl or me. You can contact people at Murmur or Sensible Minnesota, Normal Minnesota. There's all kinds of organizations that are trying to go ahead and make this bill pass through the Minnesota legislature and get on the governor's desk, Daryl.
Absolutely. The governor's waiting to sign it. He's excited about it. He talks about what he can, and I'm excited to see the COVID restrictions that lifted in our state. And will definitely be changing coming tomorrow. So get out there and get your shot if you're able to, if you want to, if you have reservations about it. Talk to somebody that has gotten it, or that has maybe some similar reservations. Talk it through, because actually at this moment, it's at some point there's going to be activities that vaccinated people are allowed to do. There's going to be activities that non-vaccinated people are allowed to do, and when that separation does happen, you can't say I didn't tell you so, because the point is we all need to be vaccinated to make sure that the those of us that care about other people don't get sick. I mean, and there are legitimate reasons for being non-vaccinated as well, and I'm not going to try to deny those, but those are very few and far between.
Daryl, I guess what I hear you trying to say, you're trying to reiterate what the governor said today. It's Thursday, May 6, 2021, folks, and today the governor of state of Minnesota, Tim Walz, announced that like our COVID restrictions, our COVID restrictions are going to be rolled back, hopefully totally by July 1st. Or if the number of fully vaccinated people, was it exceeding 71%, Daryl? I don't remember the percentage now.
Yeah, it has to exceed 70% where we should be.
So we're really close, but it looks like summer's going to be open for us, Daryl. It's going to be good times.
It is.
All right. All right, folks, support your farmers, support your veterans, support the adult use of cannabis. Give Ryan Winkler a call. Give Majority Leader Paul Gazelka a call. Give the governor a call. Let them all know that you'd like to see people be able to go ahead and recreate with legal cannabis in the state of Minnesota. Daryl, I think we should go ahead and get out of here because, it's been a long day and I got lots of stuff to do. What about you, sir?
Absolutely, that sounds good, Ed. I really appreciate your time and effort on this issue, and thanks for working for the great people of Minnesota and beyond, actually. So I know our work primarily is focused here in Minnesota right now because of our legislative session, but after the legislative session, continue to join us, because we will definitely be including our work and other stories, and we'll be including other stories across the country into this show. So join us, keep joining us, especially on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4:20 or shortly before. And if you want to be on the show, call us, let us know.
Thank you, Daryl.
One God we must be counted to the united and one. In this land we are discounted. Got to end our division amongst men now. So many have been replaced with the power. Money brings pain. No. There's no reason to be anxious. Got to stand up and rise again now. All over the world, people are changing.